I got the chance to take the Mavic Pro on its maiden flight. I was out paddling with the guys from Small Craft Advisory again. This time there was no crazy wind, but it did snow as we were packing up. This was all I had to take for the Mavic in the kayak with me. With the Phantom, not only did I have the Phantom without padding, but I had 2 of these bags with batteries, remotes, and padding so that nothing would happen to any of those items. Now I ordered a padded sleeve that usually is slipped into a camera bag that should fit the Mavic, the controller, and an extra battery, propellers, any other little things. But that didn't come in yet, so this is what I did. For those of you that don't do paddle sports, this is a dry bag. You fold it down, clip it, and it should keep things relatively dry. Now, I used one of my Pelican cases for the remote. I used a bit of padding and the remote fit perfectly, along with an extra set of propellers, extra battery, and an extra dry bag. If you really want to make sure that something inside a dry bag stays dry, just double bag it. So extra battery, the drone itself in another dry bag, but this one, look at just how much padding I put in it. Now this is from the insert of one of my camera cases, and with this much foam around it in every direction, I knew it was going to be completely safe, even if it was knocked around a little bit in the kayak. And then last thing, attached to the Pelican case, I have a mini towel, which is really useful to keep my hands dry when dealing with electronics. Now for the good stuff, it performed beautifully. It was super solid. It flies just like the Phantom, meaning if you're comfortable and know how to fly the Phantom, then this will feel like second nature to you. It hovered beautifully. I looked at the footage just now and it looks amazing. So here's a couple of things I found that I'm going to now learn how to adjust and then make better. 1, movements are a bit too jerky. I put it into tripod mode and it was great for doing some slow cinematic panning, but then in order to go from kayaker to kayaker or try to catch up with the group, it was just too slow. So that didn't work for me getting in and out of the mode. So I'm gonna try to tweak the controls so that I'm a little bit softer in some of the movements, but I can still get speed if I want it. Another thing that annoyed me a little bit was the autofocus. I'm gonna have to go in there and find out what settings are gonna work best for me. What I find when I'm shooting kayaking, I like to change perspectives, I like to change heights, and depending on what the group is doing. And there were several occasions where I felt like I had to keep focusing rather than having the autofocus work on its own. Another thing I want to work on is those extra buttons in the back, see what's going to work best for me. And the last thing that was giving me trouble was the camera tilt wheel. Whenever I changed the angle of the camera, it didn't do exactly what I wanted. It would slowly get into it and then keep going. So that meant if I stayed on the wheel a little too long, it would go past the point that I wanted. So I'm sure there's a setting in there. So that's going to be one of the things that for sure I will be changing. But overall, I'm astounded at how well it performed. It is so easy to set up, it's so easy to fly. The new firmware installed, I had absolutely no problems. We were in really cold temperatures and it actually, towards the end of the paddle, it was flying in snow. It hung out all day in cold temperatures in the hatch of my kayak. The batteries lasted a very long time. Granted, when I fly, I do a lot of hovering because I'm just setting up shots or I'm just shooting people that are slowly moving. But still, the batteries felt like they were lasting a long time. So to wrap it up, out of drones that are affordable at this point, I think the Mavic is by far the best thing you can have for kayaking or any kind of either sport or outdoor activity where you want something small. You want something that you can either pack and put somewhere that is going to be waterproof, that is going to be shockproof, and take with you. I can easily see myself putting this in a backpack and going hiking. I can put it in a backpack and going camping. And for kayaking, this is a game changer. I cannot believe how small it is and how good the quality is, not only for flying, but of the footage. I would have been happy with 2.7K or even just 1080 if I had a drone this small. And not only does it give us that, but it gives us 4K. I'll check back in when I've resolved some of these issues with settings, and I'll share what settings I found work best for the style of shooting that I do. As always, Luke Roden for Kayak Hipster. See you next time.